Right, all right, all right. Here we are, coming to the end of December 2024. Welcome everyone to Career Alchemy Live, uh, where I meet with you almost every week, almost always at this time, 1 o'clock Central Time on Wednesdays, to just riff on whatever's coming to mind for me. Mostly what's coming to mind for me, I'm learning from all of the alchemists inside of Career Alchemy Academy, all of my coaching clients, what's top of mind for them. And then through conversation, we are coming up with ideas and solutions and ways to create more freedom in our lives. And that's actually the topic of today's LinkedIn Live. But before I even get started there, I just want to welcome everyone here today. If this is your first time, you can put your questions in the chat and I will respond to them either live or after our inside of LinkedIn after this session. And of course, a reminder that Career Alchemy Academy is the best gift, the best holiday gift ever for that woman connected to tech in your life. If it's give it to yourself, my grandmother, oh my God, my grandmother used to have presents under the tree. And, I'm a young kid, right? 6-year-old, 8-year-old, you know what it's like at Christmas time for the young kid, right? And then I'd go in there looking for presents for me, and I'd see these boxes and it would say, to yours truly, from yours truly. And I'm like, am I yours truly? And my grandmother's like, no, I am. And she'd give herself presents all the time. So let's take a page out of my grandmother's book and give ourselves the present of Career Alchemy if you're not already a member, or please pass it on to one of your best women in tech who could use a community, who are unhappy in their jobs, looking to either start a job search or, create better results in the job search they're on, or pivot their careers, either inside where they currently are, finding more freedom there, or starting to consider what's next for me. That's what's happening inside of Career Alchemy Academy with all these wonderful women connected to tech. So please join us there. So today, what I wanted to talk about, and again, this came from a conversation with one of my coaching clients, but I'm calling it entrepreneur envy, and how women can create career freedom in corporate tech roles, inside of corporate. But I can, there is entrepreneur envy. I just know it's there. And when I was talking to my client, she said to me, she goes, I'd never want to own my own business. She goes, that's just not me. It seems too risky. It seems exhausting, scary, but at the same time, I envy the freedom that entrepreneurs have. And that is true. As an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur, this is my third business, Career Alchemy. And, so having had basically my whole career as an entrepreneur, except working for a scaling startup and then working for a large software development firm and a small recruiting firm. At the beginning of my career, that was probably the first, 8 years of my career. And then I became an entrepreneur. And one of the reasons I did that, as one of my former bosses said, is that I'm a bit of a maverick. I kind of like to do things my way, and an entrepreneur has a lot of freedom to do things their way. Also means there's a lot of mistakes that get made, but the client said, I just envy that freedom that those entrepreneurs seem to have. And I thought to myself, she was feeling stuck, not free in her current role. And so, of course, that's why we're coaching together to get her unstuck and figure out what's next for her. But I thought to myself, I said, well, let's talk a little bit more about the envy. Like, what is it that you're really craving? Because you don't want to become your own boss, right? So what is it that you're really craving? And she said, what I love about my job is what most people who are in corporate would say is the steady paycheck, money you can count on, the resources and benefits that come from having a company behind you, not only the health benefits, but the financial resources, and then the team that you can lean into to help you bring something to life, a project or whatever, that you're part of a team. Like for me, it's me and my system, And I will say also a couple of fantastic, three very, very, very essential vendors that I basically consider part of my team. That keep me and have for decades now helped me to be the entrepreneur I am. And so, but there's resources and benefits that, a larger organization can provide that, that I might not have access to, especially starting a new business. And then the team support that comes when you're, faced with a challenge. There's people you can lean into within the organization that have been there before or have, ideas on things. So that she really appreciated about her corporate job. But she said, but I'm feeling trapped. And which had her thinking about this, if I were an entrepreneur, if I really were an entrepreneur, I wouldn't feel so trapped. And I suggested that in fact, she could keep that stability of the corporate job and create career freedom like a CEO, like a boss, like an entrepreneur. And so that's where we spent some time. And that's what I want to share with you today. These are the three main freedoms that that I teach, that we kind of circle around, and that move through everything we do inside Career Alchemy Academy. And the three career freedoms are financial freedom, time freedom, and creative freedom. So let's start with financial freedom. So, as an entrepreneur, I can create something, a product, let's say, or a service that just takes off, right? And if I've created something of real value in the world, the sky's the limit on my ability to scale my income. And it could feel, you could create I remember a good friend of mine worked for Bell Labs here in the Chicago area. I think it had many, it's been meant from Bell Labs to, I don't know, like Alcatel, the Nokia now, it's Lucent Alcatel. It's like moved through these different names and things. But back at Bell Labs, my friend's uncle had created a patent for Bell Labs that made them probably billions at this point, right? And yet he had the patent on his resume, but he didn't really have the income behind what he created. And so I was always like, oh, that sounds awful to me, to create something that's created this huge amount of value and financial value in the world, and then not reaping those benefits. But again, if he had tried to do it out of his basement, he wouldn't have had the corporate support behind him to actually perhaps ever make that come to life. So we got to be part of something like that. So as entrepreneurs, there is this idea that we have uncapped earning potential. But even within corporate roles, I believe that women in that are connected to tech can create more financial freedom by delivering more value. You'll hear me say this mantra, especially if you're part of Career Alchemy Academy, but money it isn't about your paycheck or your bonus or your benefits or any of that. It's about the value you create. And for me, as an entrepreneur, I want to create so much value that, not only is it supporting women to create career freedom, but of course, it's also supporting me and my family and my life, and making sure I can pay my bills, right? So financial freedom for me. So within corporate, your raises, your bonuses, paid board seats, speaking, being asked to do freelance projects on the side as opportunities to make more money. All of that starts by asking yourself, where can I add more value? And I'm not talking about where can I spend more and more time. I'm not talking about this over hustle, burnout. Like I'm going to do my whole job and then I'm going to, the value it isn't in time and it isn't in, it isn't in the paycheck. The value comes from who you are and what, the service you can give, in your job and to people just throughout your normal workday. That you can be asking yourself, where else could I add more value here? And that value will turn into career gold. So that's one thing. So, asking yourself, where can I add more value without over hustling? And shifting your mindset to the possibility that you can actually create financial freedom by creating more value. The second one we talk about is time freedom. So entrepreneurs get the opportunity to design their own schedules, which can be the death of some entrepreneurs because, there's this thought where, hey, now I can, start a little bit later and I'll finish a little bit earlier and I'll, do all of these other things and I'll run my business. And of course, that's not easy. I mean, like entrepreneurs are working the hours and we're happily putting in the effort. But we can decide, what time we start, when we take lunch, what time we finish. Do we take a walk in the middle of the day? Can we, without guilt, go ahead and, meet a friend for a coffee at 10 a.m. in the morning? And know that, as an entrepreneur, that's one of the perks, right? But corporate professionals can create time freedom too. One of the things in January, so if you joined before January, one of the events that we're having is what I call Go Mondays. Go is an acronym for Get Organized. And one of the things I'll be teaching about is that as whether you're an entrepreneur or, you're a corporate woman connected to tech, you're out there in working for somebody else, you can create your calendar that starts with creating, putting your personal time first. And so imagine knowing that your schedule reflects your priorities, not just your company's priorities, right? Knowing that you're setting and holding clear boundaries at work so that you aren't feeling, pulled in multiple directions, over meetinged, all of those things. And imagine balancing your personal and professional responsibilities with less overwhelm and more calm. That's time freedom. That's time freedom. It's really about reclaiming control over your calendar and, building up your ask muscle and your boundary setting muscles, so that everything gets the attention it deserves, including you. That's time freedom. And then the third one is creative freedom. So I remember one day the Chicago Bulls marketing company called me and asked if I wanted to advertise in their program that, everyone gets when they come to a game. And did I want to put an ad in there about my company? So this is when I owned my own recruiting firm. And I thought to myself, wow, like that's the coolest thing ever. And that I can sit here and decide if that's how I want to spend the company's money. I don't have to, present the business value behind it. I don't have to, ask for budgeting money to be spent this way or marketing money to be spent this way. I don't have to get 6 different sign-offs. I can just sit at my desk and decide if that's something I wanted to do. And by the way, I did. I actually have a picture here. They sent me a picture of the ad inside the program in a frame. Yeah, I spent a little money, right? But I still love it. I'm like, but it wasn't necessarily, I don't think I got any business out of it, honestly, which is not necessarily the outcome that you might have been seeking. But for me, it was in that moment, I knew I'm like, look at me, that I have the ability to decide. And that's the creation, right? To create something for our company. I get to decide if we're going to spend our money that way, if we're going to spend our time that way. Like that's the creative freedom. So entrepreneurs have this freedom to act on their creative ideas without waiting for permission, without having to get all the sign offs or budget approvals or waiting. It can happen tomorrow. It doesn't have to happen, well, that's a fourth quarter thing, right? And there's something really cool about that. But creative freedom isn't exclusive to just business owners. In corporate, your ability to create often depends on the culture that you're in. So, does your workplace, for example, welcome diverse ideas and prioritize innovation? I know that one of my recruiting clients, small startup company, 2 women founders, had worked inside of a large corporate global multi-billion-dollar food service company. And they worked inside of there, and that company had like an innovation lab. And eventually one of their ideas got enough legs under it that they could spin off and they became their own business. And how cool is that? And so here they are, they're working their job, but they have the support of their company to also spend part of their working hours innovating and dreaming and creating an idea out of nothing. And so that can happen inside of corporate. So does your company welcome that sort of thing? Do you feel empowered at the company you're at to bring your unique voice, your ideas? Like, are your ideas, is your voice heard? And do you believe that there's a potential that one of your ideas or multiple of your ideas could actually be acted on? Because that's the creative force that lives inside of us. It's like, I have a thought, I have an idea that I want to bring into the world, that I want to create in the world. And it can happen inside your corporate career. So where creativity thrives, so does your career freedom. So if you start looking forward, if when you go to work, you have that sense that you can create something, that there's a creative force there, fantastic. Then that's a freedom that I really put. I mean, I think these are all equal value, time freedom and financial freedom and creative freedom. So if you can start to look for places inside your organization where you can be creative, where you can bring ideas, where you can offer solutions to problems perhaps that are unique or that they hadn't thought about before. And if you're not finding those places, then maybe it's time to look for a new place, right? Maybe it's time to start a job search in 2025 because it's just around the corner. So just think, like, between now and the end of this year, because if you're watching this live, December 18th, 2024, between now and the end of December, at work, start looking around and seeing where you might be able to share more value, right? See where you might be able to to share more value in order to create money, financial freedom. See where you might set some better boundaries, ask for things that you really want and need. Schedule your time, block time off on your calendar just for you, so that meetings don't get scheduled, those sorts of things to create time freedom for yourself. And then creative freedom, looking for those opportunities where you can create something, where you can bring an idea out of your mind and body and into the world. And so think about those 3 freedoms: financial freedom, time freedom, creative freedom. And if you were to focus on creating more freedom in one of those areas, which area would you pick first and why? And then what's one thing you can do right now? What's the first thing you could do in order to create more of that freedom in your career as we move into 2025. And PS, joining Career Alchemy Academy is definitely a place where you can design your version of your career, create your own more financial time and creative freedom inside the academy. So definitely put that on your list. And I want to next week, so that's the week of Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and my own personal international holiday, my birthday, the day after Christmas, which is also Hanukkah and Kwanzaa this year, I believe. So there'll be lots of things happening, very important things. So the LinkedIn Live will not be on the 25th, which is Wednesday. This will be on Monday, the 23rd, 11 o'clock Central Time. So join me there. I've been thinking about what to talk about, and I have something kind of fun. So the next two LinkedIn Lives I'm already been working on, what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm really liking them. So that's it. And, if reach out to me, email me, LinkedIn message me, love to chat. If you're thinking about private coaching, if you're thinking about joining a membership, a community of women in connected to tech, creating career freedom, financial, time, and creative freedom in their careers, let's go. I'll talk to you soon.